Hi, I'm Jack. Welcome to the No Limits Business Lounge.
So today we'll be speaking to Paul Nugent. He's the owner of Sante Group, and he'll be telling you how he went from no qualifications to owning a very successful business. Paul, nice to meet you.
You too.
Just so that everyone's aware, this is the first time we've met.
It is, absolutely, 20 seconds ago.
Yeah, so we've never met before, we've never spoken before, and that's exactly how I like this
Lovely.
podcast.
Me too.
It keeps things authentic. The only rule I have on this podcast is there's no limits.
Okay.
So whatever we speak about, we answer it. You get one veto. So if there's something you're not comfortable talking about, just say veto.
It'd have to be something extraordinary, so don't worry.
That's amazing because I'm the same. Well, anyway, you're the owner of Sante. Is it Sante Group?
Sante Group, yeah.
Sante Group.
Yeah.
So why don't you just give me a bit of a synopsis on everyone listening?
Okay, so where we are today, it's come along, it's a 12-year journey. Sante Group is really a consultancy for people's well-being. And we campaign for employers to come to us, or groups of people where they need to help their membership groups or their employee workforce to make sure they've got cover and they've got access to care and also access to lifestyle things that can help better their life.
I absolutely love that. And obviously, because we've met, you don't know much about myself,
Nope.
but I am huge on well-being.
Okay.
So one of the things I do, actually, I go around the whole country, predominantly to smaller companies, NHS clinics and schools, and I do well-being workshops.
Fabulous.
All about well-being. Obviously, from my perspective, it's more financial well-being,
Yeah.
right? So what made you get into that area?
So going back to 1997, I actually worked over here at the Lancashire Evening Post. I wanted to be in the media, so I left college early because my mum said you need to go and get a job because I wasn't really going to college. And I always wanted to be in the media. I don't know why, but I just liked the buzz of advertising at the time. And so I got a job at the Lancashire Evening Post and started working in a sales team. And worked there for a while, and then I don't know how it happened, but I moved into accounts. Life takes you in these different areas, and I don't think it was for me. So I spent 12 to 18 months in accounts, just got unhappy with my job, basically. So I just looked in the newspaper, found this job at a medical insurance company in Blackburn. I thought, that sounds interesting. So it's not really me searching for this, it was me searching for a job, and I thought, oh, medical insurance. Sounds good. Went to get the job, got the job as a manager. I was only 24, I think 25 at the time. Probably even less than that, actually. Probably 22. So I got this job and I just morphed into it. And from there on in, this medical insurance company, it was Bupa.
Yeah.
It wasn't Bupa, but it was a smaller version of Bupa, self-owned by a guy called John Pardo. And it had lots of facets. It had sales, it had marketing. So it was a big company, really. And I just got into it, and that's where I sort of started my career.
Well, that's interesting because when you talk about a career in insurance, right, whether it's medical insurance, life insurance,
Yeah.
private insurance, business insurance, etc., it's not really a career path for anyone. You know, at uni, because when people go to uni, they always have that very narrow mindset. Okay, I'm going to be a lawyer, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
No one ever says, I want to get into insurance.
No, they don't. That's very true, yeah.
It's true, but I think that's quite important to highlight. Don't have a narrow mindset because you don't know where you could end up, right?
I think as well, not that I'm by any shakes, I got a career in education. I went to school, went to college for 6 months. I think a lot of people I know went to university and they do something totally different to what they went to study for. So yeah, and I think there probably are people who go into financial services because they want to do it. But yeah, I don't think many people go in and come out with the degree that they're actually having a job in.
I'm prime suspect, Exhibit 1.
Right, okay.
So I'm actually a barrister
Okay.
by qualification. I practiced for a bit and I changed. And a lot of people ask me, why?
Yeah.
Why? And the honest answer to it, at the time, I wasn't making enough money.
Right, yeah.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
So I thought, what could I do to have financial freedom?
Yeah.
To have time for myself? That's why I got into what I do now.
Yeah.
So it's, I really do resonate with that point. If you go to uni, don't be narrow-minded.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just be open.
I suppose not everybody. I mean, I'm same as you. I'm financially motivated as well.
Mm.
You know, I want to do things in the world. You know, I've just been on holiday now. I want to do that more often. Which, as a business owner, you don't have the 25 days holiday and
Yeah.
you know you can do it. But I don't think everybody is financially motivated. You know, some people are more about choice of life, and
Well,
that's
there's nothing wrong with it
yeah,
because being financially motivated sometimes, especially in the UK, it rubs people up the wrong way.
yeah,
I've
absolutely.
never understood why. Like they have that negative thought process. Okay, if they're financially motivated, that's all they think about.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it.
No, no. I mean, when I look back at me, I mean, I've always been financially motivated because my mum and dad, when I wanted to do something when I was a
Mm.
youngster, they didn't have a lot of money. You know, they'd say, "Can I borrow a fiver, mum?" No.
Mm.
And so I think that spurred me on to become, well, I'm going to sort this out for myself then.
Mm.
And going through all those times, because, you know, I went from having a job, being paid, not a lot of money, to being given an opportunity to become self-employed, which I clung on to, and I went backwards for 2 years in
Mm.
finances. But you know, you've got to make these sort of, you've got to give something up to go forwards.
Yeah. I think I mentioned two words just before we started. Actually, 20 seconds into when we met. Entrepreneurship mindset.
Yeah, yeah,
So being self-employed, do you think that's what gives you that mindset?
definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. I remember having a child. I think at 25, I'd just gone self-employed, and used to be having the check guarantee cards.
Mm.
You know, when I don't think they have them now. I think you don't write checks and then guarantee it. But I went from earning 25, 26K a year to my first year of self-employment to about 10 grand a year.
Mm.
I had a house, I had a child, I had bills, and I just remember going to Asda thinking, oh my God, I'm writing a check and guaranteeing it for that shopping, looking at my child, my 1-year-old or however old in the trolley thinking, oh my God, I can't afford this.
Yeah.
But I think what you've got to do is stick with it.
I love that because that's the risk element that's missing.
Risk,
It's missing now,
yeah,
and it's quite refreshing to hear that because I've been on
yeah.
a similar journey. I remember literally picking up my things, putting it into a backpack, and moving over to Dubai.
Wow.
No money, no income, had a credit card.
Yeah,
First job I got over there was self-employed,
yeah,
and you're just thinking, what the hell am I doing?
of
After a
course.
few months, but fast forward a few years later, you're thinking,
Yeah,
yeah, should have done that earlier.
absolutely. Yeah.
Why do you think there's an inherent nature in our society now where it deters people from doing that, taking those risks? They're scared. Why?
Do you know, I think a lot of it comes from regulation. I think it's driven at you. When I look at our industry now, you know, if you're in the if you're an AR, you know, we've got 30 ARs in our business, and our regulators, the Financial Conduct Authority, they are becoming more and more fierce on firms to be, you know, for example, being self-employed now and working for one company. It's even the HMRC. You know, they have something called IR35 where you can't be seen to be working for one company only. So I think it's not just. I think that's a bit of a frightener from one end. You know, it's less. There's more risk in getting it wrong now than there used to be.
Do you think?
Well, I think there's more driven from the government or the regulator, you know, to say if you don't do this right, then you know they close you down. I mean, you've got to do things right, but I think people are they put a bit more fear into people starting out, shall we say?
Yeah, I guess it is right in the sense that there's a lot more rules. There's a lot more red tape now.
Yeah, yeah,
But I also think it's the education.
yeah,
If you look at the education system now, whether that's starting off at primary, secondary, college, university, what's drilled into them, they're not the skills of entrepreneurship. And what I mean by skills of entrepreneurship, sales, for example,
yeah, yeah,
how you talk to people, how you sit,
yeah.
all these little things that can drive you to be successful in self-employment.
Well, there we go.
It's not being taught, whereas what is being taught is a theory of being employed.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, that's why my focus.
And is it being driven to us by propaganda without us knowing it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to throw
No.
conspiracy theories out there, but
No.
I'll give you an example. I lecture at the university locally, and I do it on a voluntary basis.
Yeah.
Don't take a penny from them. And the reason why I wanted to do it was two reasons. I wanted to see for myself,
Yeah.
what's the thought process of a student nowadays compared to when I was at uni, which, believe it or not, wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
But also I wanted to see the students themselves. How are they being told? Not what,
Yeah. Yeah.
how,
How? Yeah.
right? So I remember the first lecture I delivered. I went in half an hour early. That's my nature. Half an hour early, I just sat there, just had a look around the lecture theatre. They all come in one by one. They all sat down, and it got to 11 a.m. when the lecture was supposed to start. They're all still sat there
Yeah.
on the phones.
Yeah.
Got to about 11:30, half an hour after the lecture was supposed to have started. I'm still sat amongst them.
Right.
There's still nothing.
Oh
right?
gosh.
So at 11:30, I got up, I walked to the front of the lecture theatre, and everyone's confused, like, what's going on
Who's
here?
this guy?
Yeah. And I literally just, I was a bit dramatic, right? I just went on the table
Yeah.
and I said, if I was an employer, right, because all of you are obviously wanting to be employed, not one of you would be hired.
Yeah.
Because number one, on every CV, I don't know if you see a lot of CVs, but I do.
Yeah.
On every CV I see, organized, time management,
Yeah.
all the usual stuff. And I said, well, I've been sat amongst you for half an hour.
Not
Not
even looked at
one
the time.
person looked at the time.
Yeah.
Not one person thought, okay, let's be proactive and find out what's going on. Not one person thought, okay, who is our lecturer? And worst one for me, when I meet people, or when, like, professionally, or whether in general, I kind of know who I'm supposed to be talking to or listening to.
Yeah.
You know, you just have
Research
just a
before you
quick,
get
like,
there.
check,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
I was sat amongst you.
Yeah.
So that taught me straight away, this is strange.
There's no order.
No.
Yeah, I think we've lost a bit of that now.
Yeah. Like, I remember walking through the campus, not one person made eye contact with me.
Yeah.
Thousands of students, not one person smiled, not one person said hello. Oh, that's astonishing.
Well, do you know, I've got 2 children, and I've just had an email last night for my 15-year-old, local school. We've got the HSBC guy, and he wants to do business, my 15-year-old, apparently. You know, he watches what we've done, and he just said, I want to get in business like you, because I've got an elder son who works for me as well, his brother. And it's careers day tomorrow, and it's HSBC, someone from the HSBC. So I just sent him a text message saying, get on this. You want to be in business. This is one of the world's largest banks. You need to listen to it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think things are being done there. But even in the workplace now, when I was at the media, and you talk about entrepreneurship, and it is really sales, isn't it?
Yeah,
Entrepreneurship. It's got, you know. Another thing that got me engaged with sales is, and it was with the Lancashire Evening Post. They sent us on sales courses. And even it was a H with 3 bums sat on a bench, the 3 W's, how, what, why, when.
Yeah.
And it was all, we were driven at work, you know, from an early age to join these sales and educational seminars that the business would put on. I don't think there's much of that going on anymore either.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
It's more about how am I doing as an employer rather than this is how we...
Well, that's why I say, if you look at the education system, my opinion, and again, not throwing conspiracy theories out there, but it's all geared towards driving people to employed positions, not self-employed.
Yeah.
And the key one I always have a little laugh and a joke about with my nephews who are, you know, college, uni, some of them in high school, maths, right?
Yeah.
You get that old saying, you know, when you're older, oh, everything I learned in maths, algebra, etc., you never use in your life. And I say to them, that's not the point. Yes, we don't use any of that, but what maths is supposed to teach you is life and problem solving skills.
Brain training.
It's your brain. It teaches your brain how to solve a problem,
Yeah.
right? So if you are coming out of education and you've not, your brain is not taught how to solve a problem, it means you've been taught the wrong way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've definitely said that. I'm not going to use this, but actually, it's expanding that little channel in your brain, isn't it? To why is X equal Y, whatever, you know. So, yeah, totally right. And I think the world now is more about what have we got if it goes wrong, rather than driving people with a positive strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. So circling back to obviously the company you're at now. So you said you started 12 years ago, right?
So yeah, so when I said I was given an opportunity, so I work for this medical insurance broker. And I won't give you the full long story. You can find it in my journal when I write it. But I was given, being a manager in this insurance company that had an IFA division at the side of it, financial advisors and insurance brokers who worked on the side of it. I was really into dealing with the brokers. And I hit all my targets as a manager. I was taken away on convention, and my son's mother at the time, or my girlfriend at the time, shall we say, had a few drinks and said to our MD, "You don't pay your staff enough," meaning obviously me. So he got me in on the Monday when we got back, and he said, "I don't think you're happy." I said, "Well, I'm happy, but I'm just not getting paid enough." He said, "Well, that's all right." He said, "I'm not going to pay you any more money." And he was great. If this guy was here now, he'd be perfect. I went, "Okay." He said, "But I'm going to give you an opportunity." I said, "What's that then?" He said, "Give up your job." I was like, "Okay." He said, "Give up your job, but come and work downstairs there, self-employed. You can start to build a sales team around you. You know, it's selling insurance basically." And I went, "All right then, I'll do it." So I did it, and that's where I sort of went backwards a year. So I built up a team then after a year, 18 months of doing it. This is why I say stick with it, because I could have earned that 10 grand a year, and I was sort of going under a bit financially, but knowing that I could bring it back round. So it's having that long-term vision rather than the short-term vision. So I need to get out of this now. I need some money. Started to write wills for a living to try and get some leads. Just, doing things to assist my path. So whilst I've gone backwards, I could see that one day, knowing that all these guys are earning 3 figures, I could be one of those people. And I think having that long-sighted vision.
You did what you needed to do.
So I moved companies, self-employed for another company, and then I kept building a team. So it was, I think, where I'm at now. I mean, we've got nearly 50 staff, and we've got 30 brokers working. We've got 50 brokers working with us around the scene. We've built technology. We've got all sorts of stuff going on. But if I hadn't had the foresight to say, "You know what, I'm going to be one of those guys, and I'm going to do what I can to do it and have that drive and determination," then I could have just got a job, and I couldn't be sat here today talking to you.
Yeah, well, that's a wonderful story, because that's exactly what I want to see people do.
Yeah.
I want to see people take that risk. 12 years ago, you took that risk, went from employed to pretty much nothing.
Yeah, and you know what? I was in debt. I got county court judgment. I think I got 2 or 3 actually, and I was almost going to go into an IVA to get them. But I said, "You know what? No, I'll sort this out, because I'll just do what they." So it's a case of, yes, things can be very close to the edge, but there are ways out.
But
people need to remember that.
That's your mentality and your mental resilience. And it was only last week, in this exact office that we're sat in, right?
Yeah.
We were having a discussion about someone who is going through something similar in terms of debt, right?
Yeah.
And they're in their early 20s, and my response to them was, it's a lack of mental resilience.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
Because the way you dealt with it
Yeah.
is the way I would deal with it.
Yeah.
I.e., we go out and we work for it. We do what
Yeah.
we need to do. There's no pride involved.
No.
Whatever it is. And I gave the example, if I need to, go on Uber deliveries, fine,
Yeah,
so be it.
yeah, absolutely.
You do what you need to do, because that's what risk
It's a
is.
stepping stone to get you.
And that's what moves you forward. Whereas the current, and I don't want to generalize, but I am going to, right? So if I offend anyone, tough luck. The current generation, they don't have that mental resilience.
No.
They get to a stage where, okay, there might be a couple of grand in debt, or they might have X, Y, Z issues, and for them, it's like the end of the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
And that discussion we had literally the last week in this office.
Well, do you know, I've just been away for a week with my mum. She's 88. That generation is different to my generation.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the reason why and it is a generational thing. like I said, my mum and dad's, if I wanted something, don't get me wrong, they weren't cruel to me, but if they didn't need to lend me that £5 because I didn't need to go to that place with my friends, they'd say no. And I didn't want my kids to have that. I would say, well, you know, because I remember my mates going off and saying, oh, well, we're going and you're not because you haven't got the money.
Yeah.
So, you know, sometimes I've given mine a bit more. And it is generation. I mean, that's my mum's a war person, but she, you know, her experiences were portrayed onto me.
Yeah.
And because I've been probably a little bit softer with my kids than she was, I think that does go on. And I think that's what we're all doing. The generations are probably less hardened to things.
It's having the balance.
Yeah.
It's having the balance, and more than ever now, I think. I mean, there's so many statistics out there, but the prevalence of mental health issues in youngsters, I can't believe it. Because, like I said to you before, like if a young person comes to me and says, "I'm stressed" or "I haven't got time," my first thought would be, "Why?"
Yeah.
Because you haven't experienced a life yet.
I think, I mean, obviously, we talk about this. There is stuff coming in there, words, burnout. People pick up on these words and go, I'm burnt out. I'm burnt out. That's what I am. And, you know, I think, obviously, technology is a fabulous thing. But, I mean, I've come off every social media challenge. I'm a business owner. We do have a social media department. For me, I'm just a little bit, I think I've got the same mentality as you. It sort of annoys me. You know, people what they're putting on the Facebooks and the Instagrams and all. I'm like, I turn even LinkedIn now. You know, I'm seeing people putting stuff on there. I'm thinking that's negative.
Oh, it's all negative. Yeah. That's why it's the driver for attention, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when you started 12 years ago, then, and what you've built the company towards now, obviously you've scaled quite. I mean, not quite really well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we continue to.
Yeah, which is great. What if I was to ask you, what are the main things that assisted you in that journey?
Well, again, the risks never stop, by the way. They don't stop today. You did just at a different level.
Your tolerance is built.
Yeah. But I would say the best thing I ever did, and I couldn't afford it, but I did it, was staff. You know, it's like I can't afford staff. If you don't get staff and you don't invest in personnel to assist you, obviously there's another level there. It's got to be the right personnel. But that is the biggest thing that any entrepreneur can do, is to get somebody, recruit the right person to be there with you, to understand it, and to offload tasks onto. So I've done that. I've continued to build staff even before we needed them, knowing what the vision is. And our payroll is the biggest expense. Sometimes it breaks even, but you know, I know I can have a holiday in France where it's been dealt with. I've come in today, first day back from holiday, and I've got my team. They're ready to talk to me, but they said we're going to do this and this and that. I go, yeah, that's fine. So that first member of staff, so all my team who are now on the board have been with me from the start, and they've come from admin to operations to director. So they've grown within the business. So you do the right things by these people as well. Look after them. We're in employee benefits, so we give them everything, but look after them, make it a safe place for them to be in, and give them opportunities, and that they will grow with the business.
When did you know it was the right time to get your first member of staff? Because the reason I ask, I had a telephone conversation a couple of weeks ago with a couple of young guys who are starting their own business. And they're trying to plan the next few years.
Yeah.
And one of the discussion points was staffing. When do they bring someone in?
Yeah.
So when was it for you?
For me, it was realising, I was working too hard till midnight. When I first went self-employed, you know, I was quite lucky, because when I was self-employed with the second brokerage I worked with, I had some staff, but then they got acquired and they didn't want me as self-employed, so I had to start again, almost. So I was working around the clock, and obviously you're in financial services. It doesn't just stop at advising someone what to do. You've got a lot of paperwork to do at the back end, which is not my strong point. So it depends on industry, obviously, but when I found myself working around the clock, I'm becoming tired and stressed. I think I had the realization, I can't cope. doing this on my own.
Mm.
So even I just reached out for a part-time person who's now our ops director. But it's just having that realization that your well-being's being affected as well. And actually, the work is going up. So you've got to say, well, how long can I continue doing this? And I think so. Realization of stress levels, and actually work mounting up is you just got to bite the bullet and do it.
And yeah, I'm very similar, because when I started hiring staff, it was for the exact same reason, really. But the way I framed it in my own head, right? I place a value to my time.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what it is. I just think, okay, this is the value for my time per hour. Will it cost someone more or less than that? If it costs less, then why the hell am I not hiring someone?
Yeah, absolutely,
right?
yeah.
So I ended up hiring, I think, a PA within my first week.
Yeah.
Right, because I thought, okay, I want someone there.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, for a couple of weeks, she wasn't even working.
No.
Because we were just getting started, right? But I thought it's important because I need to have that mindset from the beginning. Hired admin within a month. So all the paperwork that you mentioned, thankfully, I've not ever had to do all over there.
Yeah.
Hired marketing people, hired etc.
It makes you free.
Exactly.
And if you've got the brain and the entrepreneurial spirit that you're free, then that can only bring in the more business and revenue.
Yeah.
And it funds everything, but you have to go again. I only just appointed a PA in February.
Wow.
And that's 12 years in. But I had staff, but I just thought, somebody just said to me, why haven't you got a PA?
Yeah.
I was like, what? He said, I just turn up at places. And so since February now, that's what I do. And now I'm doing stuff like this. I go to London weekly. I'm on business development, but that's because someone's managing my diary.
It's best.
And I'm bringing the opportunities I'm bringing in now aren't these ones, they're these ones.
Yeah.
You know,
it gives you time.
Yeah.
And time is the most valuable commodity.
Correct.
Anyone can have. Now, I'm going to mention AI, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm going to mention AI, it feels like everything was spoken last week in this office, but this was actually another topic. We just have, we love having discussions, right? But someone mentioned to me last week, why don't you get AI to do your admin? Because it can.
Absolutely.
So we've implemented AI.
Yeah.
And if I'm honest, I've told my staff members this, AI can do your job.
Yeah.
Right? Will it do the job as well? I don't know.
Yeah.
But the one thing from me is I'm never going to make that step to replace staff with AI, because that human element is so important to me.
For me, so we are a service business. So if you think about what we operate in our business, it's an employee benefits consultancy. So we might be selling a company or placing insurance. So we might give them health insurance, health cash plan, life insurance for all the staff. And it goes onto a platform, and there's a lot of monotonous tasks. So I think that's where AI can come in. So the tasks that are repeated, like adding a new employee, taking off a new employee, I think that's where it can come in. I had an experience only last week where it didn't work. So we've had an employee leave us, and there's a gym round the corner called Gymworks. I was quite categoric in my email. Please, can you remove X employee from the? He's leaving our company, so please take him off our gym membership. And it came back to me, and it was an AI response. It hadn't read properly, and so I went back and said, "Is this AI responding?" Because they thought it was just a normal membership. So I think it's great, AI, and we should embrace it because it needs to get better, and the only way it's going to get better if we feed it. But I think where it only really helps our style of business, which is a service business, which needs people, is the monotonous administrational tasks that are being done countless times a day. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a feature. We're using it more now for chat on our website and all this sort of stuff. So we're trying where possible to use it to enhance and make our business flow a bit better.
Yeah. So in terms of, you mentioned a couple of the offerings that you provide to different businesses, corporate companies. So if you were to have a meeting with a company, let's say with about 30 members of staff, what are you saying to them in terms of what you offer?
So what we do now, if we roll back to 1997 when I started doing it, I'd be going out and selling them health insurance, Bupa. Now what we do, we go into a company and we say, right, okay, let's have a look at what your industry is, what your demographic is, i.e. age profile, gender profile, where they are hybrid wise, are they hybrid or they're all in the office, and then we'll put a package together. So if you've got a tech startup company, 20 to 30-year-old tech developers, then they probably don't want health and life insurance, no children. So we take that into consideration. But in the main, what we try to recommend is a health insurance package, so that if they get ill, they can get seen quicker, by private facilities, back into the work quicker. If it's a young population, gosh, we can offer them gym discounts and all this type of stuff.
That's part of a wellbeing package. Yeah.
So it's more of a we put ourselves down really, rather than it being, it's an employee benefits, but it's more lifestyle and care, because we've got access to all these services like cancer support, dementia support, because people are going to work and they might be living with mum or dad who's got dementia or partner who's got cancer. So we try and have all these support services. We built an app for this, so that we try and get all our clients to take the employee app, which is only 39 quid a year. And it's got access to all these services. So, the insurance is always there to pay out when it's severe, or, you've had an operation, or God forbid you get a critical illness or die. But the app is just a care thing. So, it helps people who are living with dementia and cancer, or they want some cinema tickets and things like that. So we're advising on a whole plethora of products, but we will make it client-centric by...
So it's tailored.
Yeah, consulting with them to say, all right, it's a shop floor full of, engineers or something like that. So we might put in income protection schemes. So we've got access to all the products. We use all the insurance companies in the market, and we've built our own relationships with non-regulated providers, should we say, such as a private GP line and a support line. But we look at the client first of all, and we'll say, well, we think you should have this, this, and this, and this.
Yeah. So, post-COVID, what I've found, especially with wellbeing services that you mentioned, there's been more of a concentration from employers.
Yeah.
Whereas pre-COVID, there wasn't any.
No. Yeah, true. Absolutely. And I think it was a worry for us all, wasn't it? Gosh, we had to move home immediately. Are our clients going to be in business? But then obviously the government started throwing money at us, which was great because it kept business and commerce going. Even the furlough thing, good or bad as it was for the self-employed people, for businesses who took the furlough, then they couldn't stop the benefits. So for us, the health insurance remained, and even health insurers said, well, we're going to give you some, because you're not claiming in our private hospitals, we're not going to charge the premium. So there was some good stuff coming out that way. But I think what it drove was, I had one of my co-directors said he was at home, and the guy he used to deal with was a head man at KPMG. He delivered his Sainsbury's shopping. He said, what are you doing? He said, do you know what? I decided to take, I've got my pension, I'm 59 or whatever it was. I decided to cash it in and just do this because I've built a good pension up, and I didn't want to have, if I make a late delivery or I did something wrong and they didn't want to work for them, I'd just go, right, see you later, it's fine. Rather than it being the full stress. People realise that work was stressful, some high-powered jobs were stressful. But coming out of that, you had law firms, for example. So if you lived in Preston, to work for a big law firm in Manchester might have been, or London might have been a bit of a struggle to get there, to commute. And, now, lawyers work at home, and they can be connected to, or accountancy firms, they can be connected to the big employers in the city or even abroad.
Yeah, I mean, the big benefit I've found has been twofold. Number one, work from home, whether you agree with it or not. I think there's a balance. Yeah. It's proven to be effective for those that can do it properly.
Yeah.
Right. So I've been working from home. I use that term loosely, way before COVID.
Yeah.
I was used to it. So when COVID actually started and workforces were forced to, send everyone home, for me, that was probably the time of my career in terms of business.
Yeah.
I wrote more than I ever did.
Yeah,
because no one else was used to it.
Yeah.
I was.
Yeah.
So that was great. The second part, going back to employers, what I find now, I'm finding more and more employers approach me saying, Jack, I've heard you helped John down the road with his business
Yeah.
and their staff. Tell me, can you do that for me?
Yeah.
They're more conscious of their staff, which is, I find it
Of
wonderful.
course they are. Yeah.
But the one thing I really don't like, employers that don't give a toss, and there are still a lot of them.
There are.
What are your biggest pushbacks?
So, so when it all happened for us, I mean, first of all, I agree with hybrid working, but I don't agree that employees shouldn't go in the office once a week at least, because especially us being an emerging company, growing and growing, more products coming out. If I've got a sales team who are all at home all the time, and they're not around their colleagues and feeling all the new stuff we're bringing out, then how are they going to sell it for us? So I think hybrid is great. Now, when we got out of that, I won't mention the C word again, but only like maybe a year or two ago, I said to somebody one of the managers in our team, I want you all back in. And the response was, why? Is something broken? And it wasn't. It wasn't broken because they got used to it.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is, though, people were struggling to shut down. Like turning off we're not a 9-to-5 business, really.
Yeah.
People do extra. But people working at home might find themselves in their office at 7:30 at night or so there's that sort of risk as well.
It's the balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you need to differentiate work and home.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in, for you to be able to work from home, you
Yeah.
need to earn it. That's number one.
Yeah.
So if I see CVs or people that I'm interviewing, my preference is work from home, I just say, shut it, please. Like, you have to earn it, number one.
Yeah. Come in first and then
Come in, earn it.
Yeah.
But second, I think it needs to be explained to them the benefits of working from an office.
Of course, yeah.
You're missing out on a lot of...
Yeah, you can't beat human interaction.
No.
This goes back to, I mean, we've been successful in everybody moving home. We were quite agile, but now people do come in and they see our place as a hub, and they are agreeing, once a week that they are coming in now. At least some people are in every day, but we're making it accessible and safe. But you can't beat the human interaction.
No. So going back to the employees pushing back then, the reason why I'm asking, when you approach, when you're doing your business development, lead generation, what are your pushbacks? Because I recently had a pushback and I found it so bizarre, right? I mean, feel free to give me tips on how you.
Well, yeah, no, I'm wondering what they might have said to you.
So it was a huge recruitment consultancy.
Yeah.
Similar to an agency based in London.
Yeah.
An Aussie fella that owns it.
There you go. Only joking. Sorry to the Australians.
But so initially he brought me in to look at the group pension plan because his objective was, he went, Jack, I need to reduce the employer's national insurance, right? Which is typical.
Yeah.
So I said, fine, the easy ways to do that because they're offering a nest scheme, we can change it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But then I said, okay, you've got 8 million quid in the bank. Why, number one? 8 million quid in the company bank account.
Wow.
It's ridiculous, right? So I said, listen, what benefits are you providing to your staff? He goes, none. I was like, okay, that's a big red flag for me. So I thought, okay, why don't we offer something? Instead of just changing the group pension plan to suit your needs to reduce your NI, why don't you frame it in a way where you're saying to them, we're going to do loads of things for you.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
Now, I wasn't saying, let's sell X, Y,
spend
Z.
it all.
Right? I wasn't saying any of that. I was inquiring, okay, would you be willing or open to bringing a group of people in that can deliver seminars? So we're building the education on different areas.
Yeah.
So it could be a solicitor that can talk about wills, the importance of wills or power of attorneys, or would you be open to having an accountant, whatever it may be? He goes, if it's free, yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought, what?
So that's probably, I mean, when we campaign for stuff, we do a lot of marketing. We do a lot of, push marketing and strategic marketing. We have a lot of introducers, people like yourself. So usually the clients come to us wanting to buy, but cost is always, which, not every company's got 8 million quid in the bank. But also, some employers just will not invest
Well, this particular person would not fork out £1,200,
And they will get left behind.
and I was astonished. So, I mean, in the end, I said no to everything. I just didn't want to work with him.
We've been trying to get this. I mean, I've been talking to the son of a huge firm. I won't go into it just in case it comes in. And it's based in Scotland. And the father is still the head guy. And the son's eventually going to take over. But I think the father's probably getting into his late 80s. And he's been saying, Dad, we need to do something for the health of these employees. He said, we're not giving them any more. They get a 5% pay rise every year. And that's just not going to solve it. You know, great that an employer will increase the salary, but what about, you know, John's knee? And what about the mental health of, you know, Sheila, whoever it might be? So there's still a concept of people who are running businesses who are probably in that generational thing that money solves everything. They're going to get money for it, get it themselves. But actually, where we succeed as our business, and obviously we practice what we preach, is we give them everything. We give them the health insurance. We give them the support. We give them all those things. And to counteract what you said about pushback, what do employees want? They want discounts. They want, you know, a gym membership. They want these sort of things. And if companies have these things, which can be, you know, you have to spend £8 million on them.
No.
They even just I give them a gym membership or access to a discounts retail platform where they can save 5% of the weekly shopping, for example. It doesn't have to be full health insurance. These can be things that retain staff and helps make staff feel engaged and, you know, make them feel safe. That actually my employer is trying to provide things to help my life.
Yeah, and I think that's something that a lot of people still don't understand. I mean, we've praised employers being more conscious of well-being,
Yeah.
but there's still quite a lot of them that aren't.
Yeah.
And I find that quite astonishing. I mean, there's huge law firms that I go into, by the way, and I'm still flabbergasted
Yeah.
because they're still penny picking.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about the bottom line.
Yeah.
The bottom line will recede if the staff are not engaged. And yet, pay rises are great. We all want more money. But having stuff like for a death in service scheme, you'll do death in service schemes, you know, to say, well, if you die within our working for us, your family are going to get some salary from you, you know. That means a lot, you know, and these schemes can be a few £100 a month, can't they? You know, depending on the workforce size.
So do you also do business insurance then? Things like shareholder protection?
Yeah, so we do the people. So we don't do the commercial insurances. So we work with people who do that. So we will do from directors share protection to key man insurance, all the way to group life, to the other spectrum of, you know, health insurance, health cash plan. And again, you can tier these benefits so it's affordable. But I think I was probably back in the day when it wasn't all digital and there wasn't all these different mental health programs and all that. We would just go out and sell health insurance and think that'll solve everything, but it didn't. But also that companies were only buying it for the directors. Now, where, you know, what we were able to do via our technology, our apps, is saying, look, you can tier this, so you can have the director's health insurance package. You know, for the lower grade pay type, you know, teams, you can do something else for them. So we tier it so that it fits the population of that firm.
Yeah. And the reason why I mentioned shareholder protection, I had a funny meeting last Thursday. Yeah, so it was last Thursday. There was a company that I worked with maybe about 2 years ago, and I recommended at the time, similar to you, we go in, we bespoke the package to them, right? And I recommended, look, you've got 3 shareholders here, right? You need shareholder protection because if something happens, you need to make sure that the funds are there,
Yeah.
right? Cross-option agreements, etc. Fast forward, the meeting, what come out was there's only 2 shareholders left because the other one had passed away, right? Now, they didn't take my advice back then. They're in a position now, and they're quite young, but they've always reinvested all the capital. So whatever they make, they go buy something else or go build another company, which is fine.
Yeah.
They're growing and growing.
Great.
But they had a meeting with me and they said, Jack, we need to find £1.2 million to pay off their estate.
Buy the shares back.
Or the beneficiaries come on board and they do not get
Horrible.
along.
Probably don't know the business.
Don't know the business, they don't get along. So the scenario is played out where they need the money, they don't have it. The person that's going to come on board, she has a completely different outlook, but she wants severance.
Yeah, and she could have a partner, a new
So
yeah.
I wanted to say, bloody told you so, right? But I left saying, you're going to have to stop growth and scale back now.
Yeah.
So they're having to sell all the assets to pay her off.
Yeah. Because that's probably the best thing to do, isn't it? It's a case of you don't want that person in your because it's just going to ruin the track that you've built. And it goes in a different
But their comment to that was, it means that's it for them.
Right.
Because of the nature of their business. And that, if there was any example highlighting how important it was, that's it.
Yeah.
And I still do come across a lot of companies that.
So in my position, I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of it there, but yeah, I mean, obviously we've got it all for me. Last thing my shareholders would want to be is would be in business with my wife, but that's all sorted, you know. But my advice to them would be find that money, find that money, and carry on with your dream.
Yeah, no, absolutely, find the money,
but yeah, that can solve that immediately. You know, to have that in, it's the money just be there, and the contract saying, well, that money needs to go there, and that shuts the door, and business continues, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and in the grand scheme of things, it wouldn't have cost them that much.
No,
the premiums.
Yeah.
But yeah, that goes a long way to highlight that. So, in terms of what next, you're 12 years in. You said you're still taking risk. Where are you going now?
So, when I usually go on holiday, up until about I think it was last year, I went away for 2 weeks, and because when you go on holiday as a business owner, you know, you're in the business, in and on, whatever you are, go away, your mind switches off, and you after day 3 on holiday, you start thinking
ideas,
and I just oh, we could do this. So I usually come back and go, right, they go, what we're doing. I go, right, we're going to do this. Last year was the first time I didn't do that. So I think where I've got to now is I feel like we've built it all. We've built all the different. We've got 7 different businesses under our group, and they all relate to the same thing. So we've got 3 regulated businesses. We've got 3 tech businesses, and we've got a service business. You know, so we've built it all. I feel like we've got the staff. So this year, I just said again. Usually on January, I would say, I'm going to take you all out for lunch, the management team. I'm going to tell you what we're doing this year. This year, I've not done that. I've just said, right, we've got it all now. Now it's a case of putting the business on all these things and tweaking it. So what now? We acquired a business in February. So I think we're going to look to more. We've got the platform built, and we are going to grow with acquisition, more clients. So it's more about business acquisition, as in bringing new business in, and potentially the odd insurance broker acquisition, or because we've done our first one this year, which is another app, but we're going to merge all our technology. So the risk we are going to put on now is owning our own IP, because previously we've rented it from other developers. So we've got this one now that we own the IP. So we're hopefully going to put all our tech into our own.
What's the end goal here then? Because it seems like you're going to scale. What's your end goal?
So our competition are the super broker. So you've heard of Aon.
Yeah.
There's another one called Willis. There's one called Howden. These are like super brokers who are multi-billion pounds, some owned by American. We're not that. We're self-made. You know, everything I've done has been either I've raised finance, raised a loan, done it myself. So we sit below them, and I'm really now that we've built all the pillars and the product solutions, and we've got reputation and stature in the marketplace with our peers, we're now having even the competition buy things off us. So other smaller insurance brokers come to us for services and software. So I think we're going to spend the next 2 to 3 years in growing in clients and other brokers, growing in distribution for all our technology services, and I think maybe 5 years time it might be somebody's going to knock on my door, and potentially I might either give a share sale away, partial, or I don't know. I'm at that crossroads now. Whether do I continue cracking on with this? Do I get someone to come in to really, really supercharge it, or do I continue doing it myself? So,
I mean, that's the age-old question, though, isn't it?
yeah,
When do you want to stop? How far do you want to go?
yeah,
Now, in terms of people getting into your industry, I always ask this because I want younger adults
Yeah.
to listen to you and think, okay, do you know what? That's an industry that I've not thought of,
Yeah.
right? What are the routes to your industry?
Well, it's a regulated, but it's not actually a regulated industry anymore.
I mean, do you need qualifications?
You don't need them, no. We do. If any of our advisors are advised, it's not like a wealth contract like you'll be used to. So, my wife, she's a nurse, but she could sell health insurance if she wanted. She'd have to be approved by the company. You've got our own internal.
What's that job title called?
So we just
sales
advisor, customer advisor. So all our life insurance and health insurance advisors have got it's a Chartered Institute of Insurance exam called the IF7.
Yeah.
But I suppose what we've done now, rather than it just be me, my portfolio, my admin, we've now got a company that's built, and we have a compliance and legal team. We have a marketing team. We have an accounts team. We have an administration team. We have an advisor team. We have a technology team. So you can actually get into a business like ours now and go into one of those routes. So we've got people now wanting to move from administration to advisor. So they'd have to do a qualification. So getting it, I would say, if we talk about medical insurance, which is the spine of our business, I would absolutely recommend somebody starting out at 17, 18, even 16, getting a job at one of the big insurance companies like Bupa or AXA or Aviva, Vitality, starting off, let them train them, and there's always opportunities then to learn it and go off on your own.
Are there opportunities to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are. I mean, gosh.
And would that be a grad scheme or?
Well, they are available. So we've just took on a digital marketing young lady. I think we got her from UCLan, and she wanted to. So we've took her on. We've got a grant for it. So I think we get a couple of grand grant to go against the salary. She could come in. She could move into any department now. So there's these grad schemes. Obviously it's great for the student because as we started out today, if you can actually go and learn and actually go into a job that you've learnt about, because I think what happens with the old university type clients, students, clients, they go to university, they enjoy themselves, they get drunk, they spend their student loan, and they go, I need a job, and they just go and get a job. I think with the grad schemes, you learn, you choose what you want to do, and you actually go and further it within an employment.
So you've started offering grad schemes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So and you get doesn't cover the whole salary, but even just a little bit of
well, you're investing in someone, aren't you?
Of course.
That's the main. I mean, I've been offering internships, apprenticeships, grad schemes, and I'm always saying to them, look, it's not about the financial remuneration for you. It's investing the time, education,
opportunity,
because you could go from that to that.
I mean, for us now, as I say, we recognised years ago the need for tech to deliver what we want because, like I say, when I was selling health insurance, it was just health insurance. Now we're going into companies as consultants saying, right, you should have this, 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 and this, and this. So, for someone to come into a business that offers all these things, it's not just insurance, there's all sorts of opportunities. So, our clients now aren't just employers, it's membership schemes, there's a whole array of things. So, but if somebody wants to get into the health insurance or life insurance even, not that I think people go into that anymore, some of the insurance, I'd say Bupa are fantastic at the development of people.
So imagine if I was a student, just a very overlooking student, right? And I'm listening to this and thinking, you know what, let's take a crack, let's get into the insurance business, right? I'm just thinking of questions that they would have.
Yeah.
First one, naturally, well, how much does an advisor make?
Yeah.
So, ballpark figure.
Well, depends, doesn't it, really, how, again, this comes back to the mindset. So easily, I mean, at that age, I think they could easily earn 30,000 quid first year.
Mm.
You know, that would be an advisor role with commission, for everything they do. And
So talk to me. Obviously, I understand, but
yeah.
just for the listeners, how does the commission side of things work?
So it depends. I mean, obviously you go in and get your monthly salary. With us, I'll tell you how it works with us. So we pay a basic salary, and then we would pay an advisor 10% of the annual commission for each insurance contract that they would write. So, for example, if it's with let's say we got paid 10% of every insurance contract we write annually, and the 10% is on the premium. So if an annual premium is £10,000 and we earn 10%, we would get £1,000 commission. The advisor would get 10%. That's how it'd be £100. So if they had 10 clients a month, they'd have £1,000 commission coming in whenever it arrives. Now, if you think about our business, and it's the same with yours, it's recurring, so it's annual. So if they build a portfolio, I think with what we do, it's all about building a portfolio. So you get client in ABC Limited, you sell them health insurance, then you sell them life insurance, then you can sell them an app, and then so I want our clients.
It's a holistic outlook, isn't it?
And it's not just about making money for us. Obviously, we're not a charity, but I want to go into the client. This is what we're about as Sante Group, is to make, and we think our strapline is life that bit easier. We're coming in selling health insurance to get staff back to work, to make sure the staff can get back to their activities of daily living as well and lifestyle. The life insurance, like we've discussed, obviously for group life insurance, it pays the family should the employee die. But we want to go in and provide all these products, not just for our own commercial backing, which say, look, stay with us forever, Mr. Client, because we've got an app for you, we've got health insurance for you, so we can tier everything. So going back to the question about that person coming in, somebody once said to me, you need 100 clients, finished. We've got about 5,000 clients. But if you have 100 clients and each year they're coming back to you to buy and you're renewing that, but also you're selling them this as well and you're giving them this, especially with company clients, then you can build yourself a nice portfolio, and that £100 you make on that client year one might be £1,000 on your commission year two. So if you have 100 of those, you could be in three figures. And also you give the client the right advice, not just selling them products for coming at it, because they need them, and it makes their lives better.
It's like every client, isn't it? Once they see what you're about, the year after they might think, okay, do you know what, we get it. So I mean, it works exactly the same for my company in terms of when we advise clients, whether it's inheritance tax, pension, or whatever it may be, right? We charge them a fee initially, and then there's a management fee.
Yeah.
So we're getting paid every year.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean we're getting paid to sit on our ass.
No.
We
You've
go
got to
see
renew
them
it.
and we go see them and say, okay, what else can we do to service you? We're servicing people as well.
If you don't engage, so we try and engage with a client every 3 months. You've got to do it, because otherwise, what's the point? Why would they be with us?
Yeah.
What's the why don't they go to one down the road? Not you have to go have a cup of tea with them every day, but how's it going? Have you got any issues? Are there any problems we need to look at that you're having in the work? It's not just looking after the client; it's also looking at sales opportunities as well, but also giving them products that they need, rather than just have that this year and I'll see how it goes the next year.
So a student that gets into an advisor role in the first year should be making about 30,000. Let's fast forward 3 years in. Where should they go from 30,000?
Within 3 years, I mean,
or what would you expect?
If I look at my son, so quite easily in 3 years' time, that could be double. I'm not going to go, because it could be triple. It could be over 100k. Depends how what the mindset is, how hard working they are, because you do have to put some graft in.
Oh yeah.
Getting new business is not easy, unless you work in a big company that's giving you leads all the time, which would be great. But we set our advisors out. With my son, for example, I mean, he's 25. He's doing well. He's doing better than I did at that age, I think. But I made sure he went out doing the networking events and going out, talking to people and making sure you put yourself out there. So you've got to put hard graft in, but you could quite easily, let's say 3 to 5 years, go up to 100k. But it's
And again,
about, you can't, if you're
yeah,
just gonna
well, it's not
low
easy, is
hanging
it?
fruit,
No.
then it's not gonna happen.
Well, it's not easy. I mean, it requires business development
course it
skills. It requires sales skills, and again, we're circling back around to what
Yeah.
you're being taught at uni.
Of course.
This is real life,
Yeah.
right? But what I want to highlight is this is a different opportunity that people won't be aware of.
Of course.
Right? I'm aware of it
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm in the
Yeah,
industry,
yeah.
right? So the next question really for anyone that's interested in maybe looking at that, because if I hear those figures at that age, I'd be like, yeah, I want
Absolutely,
that,
yeah.
right? And they should think like that,
Yeah.
by the way. The next question would be, okay, what do I need to do in terms of qualification? I know you mentioned is
The
it
the IF7, yeah.
IF7. Is that the only one?
No, there's a list long of them, so it depends. I mean, we even put we're trying to get all our people Cert CII. Now, Cert CII means you've got 3 insurance, CII, Chartered Insurance Institute is the body. And if you get Cert CII, that means you've got 3 of their exams. So it goes from IF1 to Insurance Conduct, IF2, Customer Service, IF3. It goes up all the way. I mean, obviously, you've got the RO5, which is the life insurance.
Interestingly, I've done the IF7.
Yeah.
So I did that. But
you can have letters after your name
Yeah,
then, you know,
you
and
can,
it's
yeah.
quite good.
But the thing is, you don't actually need them.
You don't actually need, but
No.
if you go to a reputable company and you have it, do you know what? It's, you know, so what we would do, if people were to come to us, we wouldn't just bring them on. We would say, right, do this exam. We pay for it. We pay for it for them. We want to develop them because we don't want people to come in and then leave. We want to let them spread the wings and, you know, maximise their potential.
Yeah, I mean, they need to understand if they do well, you do well.
Absolutely,
that's the way it
yeah,
works, right? So that's the exams. Now I have to confess, the exams, they may seem difficult, but they're not that difficult.
No, and I think if you have so you don't come into a business. We wouldn't say come in and do this. Have 6 to 12 months in the business.
Yeah,
Should
on the
come.
job,
Yeah. Should come to you. The IF7's multiple choice.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I mean, I did it. I think I was one of the first people to do it when it came out. When I was self-employed, I said I'll do that straight away. Didn't revise, and I think I got 80%.
Yeah.
You know, because I said if I don't know it, I shouldn't be doing this job. But yeah, I think it's a case of come in, learn the job, learn your job first of all, then get qualified.
Yeah.
And the opportunities can be endless.
Yeah. And I honestly do. When I found out I was speaking to you, I had a look on your website and I thought, it's an option that I don't hear many students talking about, and I wish they would.
Yeah.
We've got our own academy, so we're getting people in our academy. But again, what we do, even though it's similar, it's not. It's different, right? So, are you going to be, or have you thought about working with students in a way, like, you know, maybe doing careers day at university or something?
Well, do you know, I would do that. We have recruited one of our developers, came from Lancaster University. It seems to be the biggest growth area for us at the moment is digital.
Yeah.
So we took a developer from Lancaster University. She's just come in. She's half Ukrainian, half Portuguese. She just sits in our business now, and she's become got more work on with all the platforms. She's increased her salary. We've increased her salary. She's got more remit. You know, she's got more responsibility. We've got the digital marketing lady from UCLan. So we're into students, and I think it's a great way of getting people into the workplace rather than walking out and what do I do? So you know, I'd happily go on to career stuff, and I think it would be a great way for us. We've had to pay thousands over the last few years in recruitment fees. You know, 10%, 15%, 20%. So if I can avoid that as well, by building a funnel of people coming to us, to a trusted local business, then yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, what I tend to do with one of the local universities, I go along to the, they don't call it career days, I can't remember what they call it. It's like open sort of days. I have a few departments where I pick and choose who I want to come into that department. And I get them to send the CV, but honestly, I don't care what's on the CV.
No.
I just want to meet them.
Yeah. How many times have you written this? Well, I've not written for very long. I think I tried to write one for my 15-year-old. It's like, right, what do you put on here? So sometimes the words on it aren't actually the truth, are they?
No, well, I mean, I've never
It's
ever
the
seen.
people.
Yeah, it's the people. And once I actually meet the person, I know. I don't know if
Yeah,
if you
I
got that
totally
same.
agree.
I
Totally,
just
you feel the
know.
person, yeah.
I just know. So when I've brought them in, I train them up. I give them that experience. I give them the corporate world experience they need, and it's a case of off you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I make it clear at the start. I'll say to them, I'm not going to spoon feed you everything. I'll give you a boost.
Yeah.
But then it's up to you.
And I
Off you
think
go.
you've got to let people make mistakes and fall over things, or even not just it might be they find something and go, wow, have you seen what I've just done? And it's like, yeah. So giving that opportunity for, I was going to call them children, but young people to come into the workplace and actually have their own go at something.
Yeah. Now, I want to finish on something that's closer to home because you mentioned your son works for you,
Yeah.
right? Now, when your son started off in your company, how much help did you give him? What was your role? Was it a company owner role or was it a father role?
Company owner. And I think if you do the father role, I mean, sometimes you do. You can't get away from being the father. So it was a little bit reminiscent of me leaving college because he was better than me. I dossed around at school. I was wanting to be the laughing boy, and I got 2 C's and 7 D's at GCSE. I got English and Maths, but if
It's got you somewhere, hasn't it?
and that's why it doesn't really matter. But I think going to college would have just been a washout. Well, I needed to work. Get into the workplace. But he did a year longer than me at college, and he came to me and said, "I've given up college." I was like, you are, mad dad here, angry father. He said, "No, I just want to work with you." He said, I've been with watching you since I was a child, and medical insurance is what I want to be in." I said, right, okay. So my words to him were, because I think I had 10 staff at the time. I said, well, you don't work for me, you work for the regime. So he didn't work directly for me. He came in as administrator. He did pretty much every job. And then he said, I want to get into sales. And I was like, right, okay, here we go. So I have helped him because I placed him in, I said, go to that BNI meeting, BNI, not for me anymore, but it's a good training of, it's sort of like an educational piece because you have to go. And he goes every Friday now. He's been doing it for 3 years, and he comes in and he does that. He works for his role in that BNI as well. So, so if you are going to employ family, I would say let him or her report to somebody else, because that's what I've done all the way. Yeah. In COVID, he sat with me, and it was frustrating because I had an office at home. We were back to back, working together each day, and he just started doing a little bit of advising. I used to go mad because it wasn't, So I've probably helped him by going crazy. I said, "You've got to ring those clients. You've got to do it this way." Yeah, he wasn't doing it the way I used to. Yeah.
One of the reasons I ask, my younger brother, he was placed in the academy that we have.
Yeah.
And he's come out and he's gone self-employed. Fair play.
Yeah.
Because the easiest option for him would have been just work for me.
Yeah.
So he's given it a crack. Now, obviously, as an older brother, I'm just thinking, should I help him with leads? Should I help him with business? Because I'm in a very fortunate position where I don't need to go out and get business, right? But no, I'm really stubborn in my mind, thinking, give him a year to suffer.
Yeah.
Because that I just think back that first year for me, that suffering, that taught me.
Helps you realise,
it taught me more than anything. And after that, if he needs my help, I'm there.
I agree, and I think that's where I've got to with mine. And now when I don't deal with clients, I'm not allowed to deal with. I'm not compliant apparently. So he comes in. I give it. I'm happy now that he's done his what do you call it? He's done his tenure. He's done his initiation. Happy to support him now because he goes out and he wants to find business himself as well. Yeah,
he's earned it. Yeah. Right. Well, I think that's a good place to end. But do you have any questions for me in terms of anything that we discussed?
I don't really. I mean, I think obviously we only met 20 seconds into this, so I think my questions will be, how can we do this more often?
I'm open to it. I'm open to it, honestly. It's refreshing to meet another business owner that has similar perspectives on business, well-being, but also just an appreciation for sales.
Absolutely.
And not hiding behind, oh, yeah, we're not money motivated. We are. We
Yeah,
have
of course.
to be.
Yeah, yeah.
We have to be money motivated, but it's not a bad thing. It's how you use it.
Absolutely. It's how, well, for us, again, it's about how are we making an impact? How are we being different to other people? How are we making a difference in someone's life?
Yeah.
So,
I think the only difference is you're still going on that growth.
yeah.
I'm just content. So for me, it's a case of what can I do to stop and retire ASAP.
Yeah. I know what you mean, and I don't think I've got that in me just yet.
So I think I've reached that point.
Good.
Oh, great.
Lovely. Enjoyed that.
Cheers. Thank you.
Okay.